All right. Okay, let's call the meeting to order of the May 14th Road Advisory Committee meeting. Welcome, thank you for coming. We have a quorum here tonight. We have six this afternoon. We have 6 members out of the 11, so that's a quorum. So we can do business. The first thing, minutes, we're going to hold that off until the next meeting to approve the meetings from the April, what was it, 30th? Mm-hmm. Because we don't have them yet. So we'll approve them at the next meeting. So that with that, we'll just move on to the presentation by Gary Petrovich, I'm sorry, I apologize. Yeah. From the Road Commission of Oakland County. So why don't we just get started there?
Welcome.
I just start right from the beginning? Yes.
Thank you. Good afternoon. As was mentioned, my name is Gary Petrovich. I'm the Deputy Managing Director at the Road Commission, and I was asked to come today and kind of give a little overview of the Road Commission and kind of our tie with the township in general, and then I'll be open to ask whatever questions beyond that exist that are needed. First of all, what is and who is RCOC? We're separate from the county general government. That's an important part. We're an independent agency. Our only tie to county government is that they assign our 3 road commissioners that oversee us on a daily basis. We have 460 employees. Our budget's about $178 million a year countywide. We're the largest county road system in the state of Michigan at over 2,700 miles. And what a lot of people are surprised to hear when we go around is we have 750 miles of gravel roads still in this county, which is more roads than many counties have, period, in this state. So we're definitely an urban and a rural road commission. We're not urban as most people think. We also maintain 230 miles of state highways, which means we're under contract with the state of Michigan to plow snow, pick up trash, do pothole filling, things of that nature on the state highway system, like Woodward, all of the freeway systems, Woodward, Telegraph. We maintain 97% of all traffic signals in the county, over 1,500 traffic signals. Every agency but the city of Royal Oak contract with us, including the state of Michigan, to maintain traffic signals. So we're kind of the traffic signal guru in the state of Michigan. And we take care of over 100,000 road signs that are out there. There's 3 levels of road jurisdiction, just to remind everybody, make sure we're on the same page here. We have the state highway system, which is I-75, 696, et cetera, Woodward, Telegraph. And then the county road system at 2,700 miles, which is all roads and townships, and then some of the mile roads in cities and villages. Then you have the city and village street system as well, which includes their primary roads as well as all the subdivision streets that are in cities and villages belong to them. But in the townships, all the subdivision streets are the responsibility of the road commission. Within the right-of-way, what do we have jurisdiction over? The roadway itself, certainly. All the bridges, we have over 400 of them. Culverts, we have 3,500 of them in the county. And these are ones that are over 4 feet we're talking about. There's probably, we don't even know how many that are under 4 feet that exist all over the place. There's no way to know. Shoulders, the traffic signals themselves, and electrical devices. And we're more than just traffic signals out there. Electrical devices could be school zone signs, could be curve flashers. There's a lot of other electrical components out there. Traffic signs, as mentioned, the pavement markings themselves, drainage structures, which are tens and thousands of drainage structures, and then guardrail as well. What we do not have authority or jurisdiction over, which obviously anything on the state highway system, while we maintain under contract, we don't have jurisdiction over what happens on the state highway system. Anything that's a city or village street, we do not have jurisdiction over. And we have no zoning and economic development decisions, even if it's on our roads. So land use, density approvals, what goes in, what's built, we have no say over. The only thing we have is the access out into the road itself. We approve a permit for access onto our road. And that's the only thing we have a say over. And we also are not involved in transit services or routes as well. Why are Michigan's roads in such bad shape? We get this question all the time, and if you leave one thing that in any place we go, we want to put this slide out because it really sums up what's been going on in Michigan. If you look back back to the 1960s, this is not an issue from 10 years ago or 20 or even 30 years ago. This is a 60-year problem. Where does Michigan spend their money, their tax money and revenue? And if you look on here, health, education, welfare, all do fairly well in Michigan. But per capita across the country for roads, we've been in the bottom 10 for 60 years. Until in 2016, we had a new road funding package that went through that brought us from about 48th in the country to 36th. So in the last 10 years now, we've moved up to be in the bottom third versus the bottom 10. So at the end of the day, roads are about money. Nobody's got some secret stash. Somebody's got some secret ideas, using secret materials or secret ways of doing business. At the end of the day, the people who get more money into the system get better roads. It's not rocket science what we're doing here. It's just a matter of where we want to prioritize road funding. And in Michigan, road funding has not been prioritized. As a result, we're 60 years of being underfunded. We're at where we're at right now. Where does our money come from? A vast majority comes from, the pie chart here, 37% from vehicle registration fees that we all pay every year as a part of owning a car. Gasoline taxes, we're driving around, we pay gasoline taxes, a big chunk, those are the biggest. There's income tax as the last funding increase. They're using $600 million a year at the state level out of the income tax to help pay for roads. There's a diesel tax as well, that is 7%. There's some miscellaneous items, and the marijuana tax, as we like to call the pot for potholes tax, that gets us a little bit of money. It's actually turned out to be a little bit more than we thought we were going to get there. So it's really been a plus when other money's been going down and other revenues been going down. Another thing we like to share too, we often say, well, you drive to Ohio and their roads are better, drive to Indiana, their roads are better. Well, you know what? They spend more money on them. The gas taxes are higher there, but then somebody says, well, if their gas tax is higher, well, how come gas is cheaper when I go to Ohio? Well, the main reason is that Michigan is one of a handful of states in the country that also applies sales tax to gas. So on top of, when you pay $3 for a gallon of gas, there's 6% times 18 cents a gallon that goes on top of that cost of gas that does not go to roads. That goes to revenue sharing, schools, and some other small items. So again, yes, our gas is a little bit higher than maybe Ohio, and our roads aren't as good, but there's a reason for that. And it's how we tax gas here in Michigan is different. Here's some of the unfunded needs. It just is through we do a state mandated asset management plan now. We have to turn in every 2 years to indicate where we are relative to our road condition. And as the last one when we turned in, these were some of the results of that. Bridge needs of 9 million, paved roads, primary roads 9.5 million a year, paved local roads 102 million a year, unpaved roads 50 million a year, and et cetera, up to essentially $170 million more a year. Our budget right now is 180 million or so we essentially need to double our budget to keep up with what's out, to keep the roads to where we need to go. In subdivision roads alone in Oakland County, we have a $500 million deficit. And what is that subdivision challenge of that $500 million? Why are we there? The state gives us $3,000 per mile per year to take care of subdivision streets. That's how much money we get. That's barely enough money to plow it and do some pothole filling. We certainly can't reconstruct the road, which costs about, a subdivision street typically costs about $2 to $3 million a mile to reconstruct. So that's a lot of years before $3,000 helps you rebuild that road. So the way the state has dealt with this is they developed these special assessment districts that allows the property owners to tax themselves, which you're aware in Bloomfield Township is something that they've taken advantage of to help repave those roads and subdivisions to make up for that difference. Some people say, what's the difference between townships and cities? Why do cities not have the same issue? Most cities pass significant road millages to pay for their subdivision streets to get done. What's unique here with Bloomfield Township, the partnership we have here, back in 1974, a law was passed specifically for Bloomfield Township. It was opened up to others allowed to do it. It said any township with at least 15,000 in population could establish their own Department of Public Works. As I mentioned, in all townships is maintained by road commissions across the state, the roads that are in townships. But this law allowed a slight change. So you could create that Department of Public Works if you had 15,000. Another requirement was you had to levy at least a 1 mil property tax to go with that to help support that system. So this is the only township in the state that does this. It's the only one that's gone through with this and does this. What does that mean? So our contract now, the township will maintain local roads, essentially mostly subdivision streets, that include the following work. On the road surface, all your basic road surface needs that you do, any shoulder work we have to do, any roadside emergency clean out, some swath mowing, and snow and ice removal are the primary functions that fall under that contract for the township to do. What still falls with the road commission is guardrail repair, signing, traffic control devices, pavement markings, tree trimming and removal, and then major construction, which is done through the SED program, and then chloriding or dust control maintained with us as well. And that's my quick little summary of where we our tie with the township and our partnership with the township, which we do find to be while it's unique, we found it to be very successful in how we work together. And others we've had a lot of other townships ask us how to do this, and if they can do it as well, they've just never been able to pull it off like the Bloomfield Township has been able to.
Thank you. Questions? Yes.
Yeah, it seems like the sources of revenue are pretty tenuous at best, because the number of, if you're gonna tax, if the majority of the monies are developed or derived from a gas tax, and the mileage ratings on cars is going, so you're using less gas, and there are fewer automobiles that use gas, where are you gonna make up that shortfall coming?
That's a great question, and something that it's known as an issue that's out there. There's some other options that they're starting to, that many states have already looked at. The state of Michigan has a $8 million, the MDOT has in their budget for next year to do their own pilot study, which is called road user charges, RUC, or mileage-based user fees, MBUF, depending who you're talking to. Essentially, they're looking at charging on a per mile basis now, regardless of whether you're an electric vehicle, an ICE, an internal combustion engine, a hybrid, that you'd be charged per
You're
mile.
gonna turn in your mileage every year, and you'll,
The crux of the question is how do you collect that mileage, right? There's a lot of different ways to do that. Different states, Hawaii, in fact, is going to be mandated to be on the system in a couple of years. They will be required to do it. They will have no longer a state gas tax, and they'll only be doing it this way. Now, they have some unique elements. They're obviously an island. They don't have the issue of people coming in and out of the state. They also have a requirement that they have to have their vehicles for emissions issues looked at every year. So they can have, every year they're coming in to look at the vehicles. They can look at the odometer at that point. People can use GPS devices. Some people are leery of that with Big Brother. That's been an issue. Sometimes there's different ways you can plug, when you go to get your gas, you can type in a code that says, you know, you're tax-free on that, and they'll read the mileage off the vehicles, because a lot of vehicles have short, can look at the mileage in the vehicles. And then the one that's becoming popular out there is no different than your cell phone. It's an unlimited use. You write a check to the state every year for whatever that number is, and then you drive as many miles as you want. And they don't care where you drive them or when you drive them or how you drive them, just like your cell phone is
Well,
now.
I just have one other question, and thank you for, that was very good information. I mean, that was very well put together in my mind. What was the governor, what did she do to fix the roads? If your budget is remaining the same, and you're 100% in deficit on the budget, did I miss something? Maybe I was in coma or something, but I don't see what happened.
Well, obviously she made it a big deal as part of what she said, you know, fix the damn roads is a big part of what she was pushing forward. She couldn't get something through the legislature. They couldn't work a deal out on road funding. So she used I don't want to call it a loophole, but something that existed out there that allowed her to go through just her state transportation commission and not the legislators to pass bonds, road bonds. So she passed road bonds for $3 billion of road bonds. So she went out essentially and sold bonds to do, but they only could be used on state roads. They couldn't, that money could not be used on local roads.
I see.
So yes, is it needed? An idea, way to get things done? Certainly. You still got to pay it back at some point. There's going to be a big, you'll see a lot of the work you see out there now. Luckily, Oakland County was able to see a lot of that work because we won't need a lot of that work because so much has been done, but they're going to be paying a lot of money back over the next 20 years, and they're going to cut back on the amount of work they have to do because they're going to be paying back the debt on that. The unfortunate part about us is not only did we not get a dollar out of it, but because they put so much money into the system so quickly, the price of road costs went through the roof. Our cost of putting culverts and bridges in doubled, but we didn't get any more money, so technically we lost money, you could argue, in this process. Not only did we not get any money, we lost because we had to pay so much more to do our road projects now. So hopefully the legislatures are really, there's a lot of conversation going on to do some additional road funding packages and with more focus on local roads. And we hope that it's past the House side right now, it's in the Senate side. We're hoping that something good comes from that.
Well, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Could you send us that email, that PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah, she is.
Okay, great. You know, you mentioned, you brought it up, that as people say, in Ohio, the roads are so much better, and the gas is, but they also have tolls in Ohio,
Yes.
and we don't have them. So that's another thing. And the other thing you mentioned, is the millage in the cities, they have a millage higher. Well, I have the 2024 winter millage rates here, and the difference between, and Birmingham across the road, is 0.6 of a mil more than Bloomfield Township. 0.6 of a mil. So it's really not a lot.
Right.
I think it's not only that the mill, well, 0.6 of a mil, their property values are higher. I get that. But also, I think it's how the money comes to them from the state, from gas tax, registrations, diesel tax, or whatever, how the money gets to them. And that's how they're able to do what they do, the villages and the cities. So I think one of the focuses that we're looking at, we're here thinking of, is we need to change that formula somewhat for the townships. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know. But I'm just saying that how they get their money differs how than we do.
Well, I'll say
For
yes.
subdivision.
I think it's more complicated than that, the difference there. You gotta look at it a little more deeper than that.
Right, I agree.
But I'll say that surprisingly, Birmingham's a place that, there's an awful lot of streets in Birmingham that look paved that they special assess their residents on. You'd be surprised. I lived there and I was shocked at what was there. Farmington Hills, just recently, I think 4 or 5 years ago, they passed a strict road millage just for subdivisions to take care of subdivision streets. They added an additional millage just for subdivision streets. So they're all doing it a little bit different ways, and how their budgets are handled are all a little different. So I think there's a little more parting than that 0.6.
Well, it's
There's more
very
to be said
complicated. I
there.
get that.
Yeah,
I'm just pointing out a couple little things that I just thought. Anybody? Mike?
Gary, the bonding that the governor did, mostly for that 696, right, east and west between Southfield and what's
I-75 north of here, 696 down, I-75, yeah.
and that all was about $3 billion in bonding?
Right.
And that's for over 20 years, right?
Right.
And that the payment on those bonds will come out of the Michigan Transportation Fund?
Right off the top, right.
Do you know what those payments are going to look like?
I don't.
And how much has the state bonded in the past on repairing or building roads? Like M6, I know in Grand Rapids was a bond.
Well, you may recall, if I'm getting old now, so this is people, there was Build Michigan 1, Build Michigan 2, Build Michigan 3 over the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and they were still paying some of those off till last, 5-10 years ago, and they just started paying some of those off when this kicked in. So they were paying somewhere, and I want to quote this, there was hundreds of millions of dollars every year off the top that were coming out on debt payments for past projects. So, I mean, well, we all agree the work needed to be done out there. There's no doubt about it. We just, it's how you want to do it. How do you want to pay for it is the question.
Yeah.
I just a couple of questions. One is on the equitable funding statewide. Do you feel that your Oakland County is getting its fair share, or is it it's not getting its fair share and other counties benefit? Or is it done on a formula so everybody is treated equally?
There's a lot of discussion out there about Act 51, which is the formula that divvies up the, when the money goes into the Michigan Transportation Fund, it's divvied up according to an act called Act 51. Happens to be from 1951, so people have this feeling that it's from 51, it's so old, it doesn't apply anymore. It's been changed hundreds of times since then, the original act. And I think if you drive around the state, I think we can all, to an extent, agree on that there's no good roads anywhere. Okay, so there's not like all of a sudden you drive through a county, north of wherever, north of Grayling, and it's like, wow, these roads are all nice here. And likely, if you go down a nice road in those places, it's probably a state road. If you get off onto their county roads up there, I don't think you would agree that. I mean, they have a tough time striping their roads on a yearly basis. Once you get outside the metro areas, I think you could take if you took any money away from the northern areas or other areas like that, it would be it would destroy them. And it would be a drop in the bucket for how much money we need, what you could take off from them. I don't think I think that's our issue is how much money is going in the top. It's not the distribution. The distribution is, and you'd never ever get any agreement on what's right anyways. Somebody's going to lose and somebody's going to win anytime you distribute something up. It's there now. That's the argument now is really we just need more money in the system and we'll all get better. We'll raise it for everybody and we'll all get better.
And if you move down to Oakland County, the allocation of your budget, how is that done? Or do you try to find equitable between different townships? Or what is that process? So somebody says, well, because you lobbied or did something, you're getting more than my fair share. How do you handle that and how's that done?
Our number one issue at the Road Commission for Oakland County is safety. So all of our decisions based on data related to safety and how we do things. I'll just do our little plug because I'm there now. The roads in Oakland County are half the state national average for fatality rate. We're half the state national average here. So if you drive in Oakland County, it's better than driving, and we haven't found another county that has a lower rate than us. Okay, so you're driving in the safest roads, and that's what we focus all of our effort. Our minimal resources we get, we focus on safety. So when we're looking out on the system, that's what our goal is. We don't. If Bloomfield Township comes to us and wants to resurface a mile of road and they want to pay for half of it, it gets moved up the list because it spreads our money. We do that with everybody. Anybody who wants to put money into the system, we're willing to prioritize that money with us. But outside of that, we're looking at safety. And even when we do that, we still want to do what's best. We want to do the road that's most important in the township when we do something. But we want to make sure safety is our priority. We have a tremendous amount of data that we go through, and we try to rely on data as our process because we don't want politics. We don't want emotion in the system. We want data that shows us how can we get the most bang for our buck to improve the safety in our roadway system.
Jay?
Can you give a little more in-depth on the tri-party agreements where community and you partner with? And also I saw in a slide that you do tree removals. I thought our people, the DPW did remove tree on my street, subdivision street. So the tree removal is done on subdivision streets as well?
It's in emergency situations, the township will step in and help.
Okay.
So we do, that's where the contract draws the line, but we'll go, we cross the line to help each other out as needed there in emergency situations. And the same thing would apply to any city we work with at all. So our crews in here as well as across the county, our maintenance crews really try to work closely with the maintenance crews of the local jurisdiction. They do a lot of partnershiping together to make sure that we all get the most bang for the buck. And I'm sorry, what was the first question?
Tri-party agreement.
Oh, tri-party, yes, thank you, sorry. Again, unique to Oakland County, only one place in the state of Michigan, we have what we call a tri-county funding. So the county general government, as I mentioned, they're separate from us, puts $2 million in a year. we as the road commission put $2 million in a year, and then all of the local entities put in a combination that comes up to 2 million. So it's 2 million from each of us for a total of 6 million. Then we go in and we say, how many miles of roads are in your community? Look at safety statistics of those roads, who has the most accidents, and then we divvy up that money based on that, and everybody gets an allotment every year. And from there, they can choose, the local jurisdiction decides where they want to spend that money on county roads. And then they can do anything that helps improve the county road that they want to do with that money, and it's up to the local jurisdiction to decide where that money goes. So just say you have, let's say $300,000 in tri-party funding, 100 would come from the township, 100 would come from the road commission, and 100 from the county general government, and then the township decides, where do I want to spend that? Do I want to do an overlay? Do I want to do some culvert? Do I want to improve a traffic signal? Do I want to put up some new school stuff, crossings or something like that? That's the township decides where that goes, or all the local jurisdictions get their allotment, and they decide what to do with it.
It comes from general budget for the county and the community.
Yes.
Jeff?
Another question, I'm kind of curious, we talked about cities, and the cities have their own structure and system, and you have the townships and the counties. When you look at that, is there anything unique, or is it equitable, what's coming out of the state to both cities and townships, or cities have some preferences that they're getting more per mile, per capita, in different ways, or one could say the money's, whether you're a city or a township, it's all even Steven?
You know, again, let's go back to, I haven't seen any evidence anywhere that shows that this formula doesn't work, that comes out. I really don't. And even, I'll say I live in Beverly Hills, I lived in Birmingham, so I know their budgets well from being involved with those. They beyond their road funding, they all put general fund money into the roads. So they take their road allotment that they get from the state in order to do what they're doing. They pass millages, and they put their own general fund budget into the roads as well, because there's not enough money there. So everybody's subsidizing in some way. It's just because nobody's getting enough money, and they all want to do more than what the state's giving them to make the roads. You get a lot of complaints. It's a driver. They get a lot of complaints. So okay.
In Farmington Hills, you said they have a millage. Do they tell you where they want you to fix the roads, or do they leave it up to the process that you use? And do they have any freedom to just say, well, we're gonna do our own roads?
Well, they have their
Contract them
own.
out.
They have their own roads, so they decide what they do on their own roads, and their subdivision streets.
So
are
there's
their
no
own.
rule that says we have to use the county road commission to make a new road? If we had a millage to put on, to repave Long Lake Road, we would have no obligation to use the county road commission, or were we obligated to use the road commission?
At a minimum, you'd have to pull a permit. You could, technically, you could pass money and say, I'm gonna hire a contractor to go do work on this road, but you still have to pull a permit through us. So we'd have to make sure you're putting the proper materials, doing it safely, and et cetera like that. Usually most people
So
just
you
give
would-
us the money
You
and
would
let us do
determine
the
the
job.
specifications that we would have to, or we could just hire you to do it
Right. We
with
wanna
our
make-
money, with our money.
Right, exactly. And that's generally what happens, because
So
people
we
just let
can't use
us.
it in Southfield.
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
Nothing wrong with Southfield.
No, I mean, any way
Southfield's a
that,
city, it's not a
I don't
township.
know, I just,
yeah, we'll
I don't
contract.
have road problems there.
We'll contract directly with, say you wanted to do Long Lake Road and you raised some money, we'd have a contract directly with you that said this money's going for that project, and that's how we would do it. And it would go nowhere else. All right.
Thanks a lot.
Is Farmington Hills, I'm drawing a blank, is that a city of Farmington Hills? It's not a township.
It's a city.
So they pass their own millage, they own their roads, they can do what they want with that money.
Exactly.
But okay.
Yes. But we do own a few roads, and there's some that we own 12 Mile, Orchard Lake.
Oh, no, I
and-
get that.
yeah,
I'm
right,
talking about
right.
subdivision
Right,
roads.
and subdivisions,
Okay.
right, yes.
The other thing that I wanted to broach the subject on, and it's in our mission statement, and something that I've been also concerned about, and I want to bring it up, is autonomy of the roads. Now, you own subdivision roads. You decide where stop signs go, you decide where not speed limit, I don't know about speed limits, I shouldn't say that. But you own them and you control what goes in there.
Right.
And you also say that the subdivision roads are used by the subdivision people, and that they're not public, they're not used in general by the public. So that's why subdivisions have to pay for their own, the SADs, for instance, to repave. But also, you have to approve stop signs, you have to approve whatever, traffic controls, speed bumps, anything like that, that's not permitted. So I wanted to bring that up because I know at least one subdivision has purchased those electronic speed signs that collect data. And some of the data shows that in a 10-day period, 10,000 vehicles in one direction will go through one road in the subdivision. That's not local traffic. So what I would like to figure out is, and address it, because I would like to see how we can get more autonomy over the road. So we can approve things like traffic control, like speed humps, like closing off subdivision streets so that they can't be used, which right now we can't do. Can you talk about that a little bit?
That's a big subject.
I know, oh, I get that, I know.
Pretty broad there, but, I mean, right now, the law is the law. I mean, in order for you to have any jurisdiction to make traffic control decisions, you'd have to be given, there'd have to be a change in the law to do that.
Okay.
And right now, that doesn't exist, so there's just, that doesn't exist, there'd have to be a change in the law to do that. So autonomy from that perspective doesn't exist according to the law. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, just in general,
Yeah, yeah.
how do we get autonomy so that we know that a certain subdivision in the township or the township itself can say, we realize that that's a dangerous, we need to have some traffic, we need to close off some of those entrances into those subdivisions to stop all the cut-through traffic. How do we attain that kind of autonomy? Can we do that?
Well, we still do allow that. I mean, we have those conversations all the time with townships and subdivisions about restricting access to certain types of things all the time with that. So right now, the autonomy is you still have to work with us because at the end of the day, we own the road.
Right.
So there's no way around that. There's just reality. It doesn't mean we can't work together. It doesn't mean we can't have those conversations. I'll tell you, since I've been here, I can't even count the number of discussions we've had about cul-de-sacing roads, things of that nature. At the end of the day, the residents won't sign off on it. So they talk about they don't want all this traffic and everything. As soon as you put you offer some restrictions up, they back down from what they have. And remember, this is a public, at the end of the day, it's a public road. I know they have to pay the SADs and things, that it's a public road, which means anybody has a right to use that road. So if we restrict the use of that road, it has to be restricted for all. I can't say because you live there, you have some special authority over that road. The law isn't written that way. So,
Well, that's true. I mean,
yeah.
look at, there's like Red Maple Lane off of Maple Road. No right turn, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Well, people live there, they'll get a ticket if they go to the house. You know, they could, if they use that street, make a right turn. So it's restricted for all. No, they don't have any special exemptions. But the point is, to get those restrictions, that's where there's a problem, I think.
well, and that's where jurisdiction of road, I mean, we have jurisdiction of the road, the law's written that way, so yes, I understand your issue. Remember, when you take jurisdiction on, you take everything. You take liability, you take everything that goes with it. And that's why so many people come to us, we want our road to be, we want to do whatever we want it to be private. Make the road private, you know, we give it back to them, make it private, and they can do whatever they want on the road, right? They have to take everything that goes with it. When that car gets in an accident on that road, when the kid falls, trips on the road, they have to defend themselves and have to have full liability over all that occurs. And that becomes scary to some people, that, you know, that's a big deal. So you gotta take it all, you can't pick and choose what you want, you take it all with it. And then you gotta be eyes wide open to what you're getting with it.
Well, I just think perhaps without taking on all, if the county would be a little more open to doing certain things on the roads for traffic control, for speed, etc., it might be easier to work. For instance, Beverly Hills, well, Detroit does it all over the place. Beverly Hills has speed humps on a lot of roads. And if we wanted to do that, I'm pretty sure the road commission know we won't allow it.
Oh, we absolutely do. We have a policy on it, we have a method to go about requesting it, we have absolutely.
I didn't know that.
Absolutely,
Well,
we do.
I'm glad I'm finding out.
Yes, so, and that's what I'm saying, we can do all this, but at the end of the day, if somebody goes over that speed hump and wipes out on a bike or a motorcycle, all right, we're the ones responsible for it. We have the liability, okay? So we do have to have say, and we have to do it the right way under
Okay.
certain things. Again, we can't parse these pieces out. At the end of the day, just, you gotta take it all or you take none, and so, yeah, but we do a lot of the stuff, we work with it to find ways that are safe to do these things, and you say dangerous and these things are happening, but what's the data say? How many accidents are you truly having? Is it worse than another road that's the next road over? When I make a no right turn into that sub, where do those vehicles go? They go to the next street, and that street becomes, there's always, every action we make in this world, there's a reaction somewhere else to what happens. The vehicle's gotta get A to B.
I know you've been.
And if you restrict one way, they go another, there's still, the vehicle doesn't disappear. It goes another route. And so there's always that we always have to be looking out for not only that street, but that next street over, or somebody else we may be affecting with a decision we make. So that's why, we let the data really drive what we're doing, and we wanna make sure that people may not like that. It might be the safest road in the county that has those 10,000. I've gotta look at the data. What does the data say?
Well, the data is available for things like traffic, volumes, et cetera.
But-
That's available.
Volumes don't mean unsafe, though.
I didn't say unsafe, but
Okay.
volume.
Okay.
Okay, and speeds. We know, we have that, that data is available on
Yes.
any given street. It can be had easily.
Yep.
So, all right, thank you.
And we certainly collect that as well, work with people on that. As I tell people, we'll give them the data on a speed study we do on a street, and it'll be 85th percentile speed, and 85% of the people are doing 33 miles an hour or below. And they'll go, is 33 acceptable? I say it's not acceptable, but it's every subdivision street in Oakland
Got it.
County. It's
Got
not 25 they're doing. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I
Thanks.
have one,
Yes, go ahead.
one question. I served on business roundtable at the county level on the transportation committee, and I think for several years we kind of wrestled with all these different issues and came up with always a funding and what we can do within we got to change the laws, right? That now, having said that, you've been in this business a long time, and if you were in, without putting you on the spot, if you lived in a township similar to our township, what would you do about funding the subdivision streets? SAD is of course what we are doing right now. Is there any magic wand or it's something we are missing that we should be doing, or in your opinion?
I know it's not popular, but I would pass a township-wide millage to do subdivision streets. You would get your best deal. You'd make sure you don't have, this special assessment district, people going door to door and stuff's a tough thing to get it done. If you pass a township-wide millage, you do X number of miles every year, and everybody eventually gets it. That's essentially what cities are doing. And the bottom line, at the end of the day, they're passed to some kind of millage to do their subdivision streets, and they're going through a process to get to them. It's the only way to solve the problem that I'm aware of. There's no magic bullet out there for this stuff. And if you do it on a more routine basis, you have more options to what you're doing. If I do a special assessment district, I have to make a fix that's 15 years plus because they're paying it off in 10 to 15 years. I can't do a fix that's less. If you have your own money and make your own decisions, it may be, hey, this subdivision, we can just put a small fix on it and move to the next subdivision. Now with essentially they get to a point where they're such disastrous shape, they need massive reconstruction to fix them. If you get ahead of the game with money going to them every year, you can get in a position where it's a lot less to fix these roads. And you can do it more on a continual basis. They'll never get super bad, and it never costs you a ton of money to fix them. But you've got to get in front of the game for that. Right now, we're so far behind the 8 ball that we can't get there. But the only way to get there is to have some kind of dedicated funding that says, hey, if I'm doing these miles every year, you'll get contractors that get familiar with it, start bidding it, consistently and get good prices, and you'll find that's the only way I see the right way to do it.
Are we gonna televise the wrestling match between the different jurisdictions in the county, in this township? Our township versus our group versus the people. I mean, one of the things that when we did the SAD is that we had control where that money was going. And the people were comfortable with that, but they weren't comfortable enough to buy into it. If we have a millage, yeah, I understand, but it would have to go, with the millage, there'd have to be some language there on people will get treated in some sort of way that is, the language would have to be agreeable to everybody. Because it, you know, I mean, they don't need to redo Vaughn Road again, but I mean, they would probably redo that if we got money, so.
Well, that's a city of Bloomfield Hills road.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean.
Right.
It's the guy, that's the wrestling match, and that's, you know, you don't have neighbors fighting neighbors, but that's what they're gonna do.
Gary, if we were to do a millage for roads, you own our roads. So would there be matching dollars involved from the county, our RCOC, if we were to do something like that?
It's a discussion we'd have.
Okay. And then roundabouts. I see you've been putting in more roundabouts. And can you tell us why versus the typical, you know, stoplight intersection? And are you eyeing any of our intersections for upgrades like that?
Well, first of all, we'll go back to that, safety is number one. Roundabouts are a safer style of intersection out there. The bottom line is traffic's moving slower, there's less conflict points. If you get hit, it's a fender bender versus a fatality, or you know, you're T-bowing somebody running an intersection. It's just a much safer intersection. So safety being our number one priority, when we're looking at intersections, it's on the checklist of, and we go through the process of determining intersection improvements. It's always in there. So sometimes it rises to the top, sometimes it doesn't. Depends on what the right-of-way availability is. Depends on where the volumes are, what's going on. We've been very successful at intersections. We found, you'll see a lot of big ones around, but what we've been really successful in recent years is intersections that don't meet traffic signal warrants yet, but we're still struggling with it, but don't meet the warrants to put a traffic signal in. You put a small single lane roundabout, get a lot of traffic through there, get the side streets people out easier, and really works, and it's really been working nice. So we've done a number of, like, one lane roundabouts are kind of our big kick now.
And what about pedestrian traffic with roundabouts? Are they safe to cross? Because usually people are, you know, jockeying for position, and if you got a pedestrian involved.
Well, the nice thing about the pedestrian crossing is you cross one direction at a time. So you only have to worry about the vehicle right there, and then you cross to a median, now you're looking at another direction. So the process is much simpler versus when you're going, and it's much shorter. It's anywhere from 12 feet to 35 feet, where an intersection is typically can be 50, 100, 200, 300 feet you're crossing with right turns, left turns coming at you. Even if you've got the walk signal, you're gonna have traffic crossing you. You don't know where it's coming from. It's all directions. So, and it's a long crossing as well. So from a pedestrian perspective, it's a much simpler crossing. And it's been, you know, we've been very safe with pedestrians at roundabouts. We've had no issues with that. It's been very well done.
So do you have any, to answer Mike's question, do you have any planned for the near term?
In the near term, I'm not prepared to answer that question. I don't have anything, I mean, from the perspective of I don't recall any right now. There could be one in there. We've got a lot of intersection studies going on out there right now across. I'm not seeing any right now in Bloomfield Township that I can recall, although Hickory Grove and Losser's been one that's been on and off there.
Yeah, we've seen a large influx of traffic on our mile roads in Hickory Grove from the highway shut down already. It's incredible, the
Yes.
backup. And I'm sure it's going through so many different cities throughout Oakland County as well as probably Macomb.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
the
it's-
mortgage company too is, that they come up Updike and then they try to scoot
Yes.
across.
It's creating a lot of traffic out there. It's a couple 100,000 vehicles gotta go somewhere.
Yeah, they should,
Yeah, I got a-
I'm sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
I got
Go
a
ahead.
point of clarification, because I was under maybe the wrong understanding. We talked about a potential road village, you know, that example, and if you want to fix your road, you go do the village. I thought we were at max millage and we couldn't do that. And then you talked about possibly going to you guys and see if there's some sharing. Is that, is that an option we have, or are we maxed out?
Well, we're at 10 mills, and we have some millages out there. And if you go too far, it affects your credit rating. And we have a triple A bond rating right now, so that's something. And then our finance director is going to be here at our next meeting, so I think that'll be a good question
Yeah.
for them to
I
answer.
didn't even know that was an option, so.
Yeah.
Going back to the SAD thing again, there's one big inequity in it, let's call it, okay? Especially for subdivision, well, places like Bloomfield Village or others around where there's a lot of cut-through traffic, there's a lot of traffic coming from all directions. People there are paying $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 to repair the roads, and then everybody's using them. it's not equitable, because if everybody's using roads, everybody should pay. That's why a millage, where the whole township pays a millage, and everybody uses them, which they're doing now, I think, and I think a lot of people think, is more equitable, aside from the extreme cost of these SADs. So I think we're talking about millage, and if that was possible to do that, can we, in addition to a millage, can we recapture some money that we're sending out to supplement that, so that we're not just all of a sudden paying another 2 mils in addition to what we're paying? Do you see what I mean? Is there any money that we can recapture back from the millage we now use, the taxes that we're now paying? I don't know if you can answer that. Maybe the finance person.
Yeah, I think that's a finance question. I'm
Yeah.
not sure what would come back, but that's definitely high finance. at
Well,
that
the point I'm making, though, is that the SADs are very expensive, and they're paid for by people there, and they see people going to schools, going through, up and down, all day long. And with the numbers that I just said about certain subdivisions buying the electronic equipment and can document how many cars, they're not subdivision people going in there. They're coming from all over, yet the subdivision people are paying for those roads.
And again, it's without saying a specific street to have a conversation about a specific place, we all go to other people's subdivisions,
Right.
right?
That's right.
Absolutely. And people would be surprised at how much traffic is on a subdivision road. It averages about 10 per household per day. So if you have 100 houses on that street, there's easily, there's easily, 1,000 vehicles just from
And
the
that's
people.
way understating the amount of traffic in some of these subdivisions.
If there's
Way
10,000,
understating.
but if there's 10,000 on any subdivision street,
Right, there are. I can show you the documentation. In a
please-
9-day period, in one direction.
we have a lot of mile roads that don't carry that, so.
I can show it to you. I'll show you the documentation. But that's neither here nor
Yeah,
there. That's
yeah.
not for this discussion now. But I'm just saying, I'm just making the point that it seems to a lot of people that SADs are very inequitable, because of all the people using the roads. They're not paying for it. They want them fixed, but then they're not paying for them.
If we want to have a discussion about how we fund roads and whether it's right or wrong, I'm all in there on you,
Yeah.
okay? And the problem is, it's what we're, it's
Yeah,
what the
well.
state, there's what the state legislatures have given us to work with. I can't change laws, and I can't change the laws they make.
Right.
So we can lobby for different things, and we do all the time. I mean, I'll stand up here and say, I don't think it's the right way to do roads either, to fund roads. I think it's a very poor
And
way. but-
maybe changing the law, that may be one of the directions that needs to happen, because it's just getting too expensive for people to pay these SADs, excuse me. They're just way too expensive.
And Bloomfield Township has had success in the past doing that more than we can, when they went out for SADs, and you got, if you fund your own SADs, that SAD now goes with the house. It used to have to be paid off on all the house, and some mortgage companies were making, when they refinanced, paid off the SAD. So under the laws you had changed, when you finance it yourself, that's an advantage it gives your residents now, by when you finance it yourself, that they don't, if they sell that house, that stays with the house at SAD.
Well, that's,
The issue is it's affecting the ability to sell the homes in Bloomfield Village. It already has, the date is proven. So, I mean, just to be clear about facts,
Well-
it's been very difficult, so.
And I'm not here to, again, I say
I
what's
know.
right or
I'm
wrong
just-
with it, but it's also, I think if you talk to a lot of assessors and things, if you have a nice road in front of that house, it's a lot better than having one that's pothole filled. Again, that, to the extent that it's worth it or not, that's not, I'm not here to valve.
Right.
valve
No, I know.
that.
So Gary, have you been paying attention to our state legislature and what's the proposals have been for new funding? And so what are your thoughts on the discussions that they're having? I'm sure you're monitoring it.
Yeah, I think there's some really good things going on. I think that the amounts are getting in the ballpark that we need to do things.
Need to do things at the local level as
Yeah.
well, because you said we're 500 million behind.
Yeah, I mean, does it solve that problem? Absolutely not, but will it allow us to put extra money towards that and provide better support for those systems? Absolutely, it will. It will. I think one of the things it does, as I mentioned earlier, it takes the sales tax off gas, replaces it with the gas tax, and then backfills it a different way. I think anytime we talk about the roads and funding, it gets confused by the fact that we put sales tax on gas. People they can't differentiate between the two. They don't understand why we're higher. It goes on and on and on. It's a cyclical thing. If we can get that off the books and just get back to the way everybody else does it across the country, it'll be much easier to explain and justify.
That also
later.
creates a windfall for the state. Every time when gas prices go up to $4 a gallon, the sales tax is based on the $4 a gallon. When it goes down to $2.50, of course, it's less, but that's not happening. But, so when gas jumped, it created a windfall for the state, which of course, we didn't see.
I don't disagree with that, and as a road commission, we saw no more money, and technically people buy less gas when it goes up that high in the way.
Now, they still gotta go to work.
They still gotta work, but we still see a dip in the amount that comes in as a result of that, so, yes.
All right, any other, go ahead.
No, I haven't.
Okay, thank you very, very, oh, you want, yes, all right, well, why don't we ask, go ahead, ask a question. But you need to come up to the microphone and go to the microphone, right there, tell who you are so we can put it on the minutes.
Is this good?
Yes.
I want to have access to your presentation. Will it be available on the township's website or the
Yes.
RCOC website? Or
I'll
can
upload
somebody email it to me?
Yes.
I'll email it to you if you give me your email, absolutely.
Okay,
And we can put it on our website as well.
It's gonna be on the website as well.
that's my.
Can you
Thank you.
introduce yourself?
Just your name and where you live, your address, just for the record, so we have it on the,
Sure.
we'll just say it in there, it'll be recorded.
It's Janet Chappell, Chapple. And the address is 1862 Brookview Circle, Bloomfield Hills, 48304. And I do have other things when it's time for the public.
Okay, thank you, okay. There's another meeting at 5:30, but I think we're gonna hear in this room, but I think we have 10 minutes, we can finish up our business here. Thank you very, very much, it was very informative.
Very good, thank
I
you.
appreciate it very much,
And if you
thank
have
you.
future questions, I'm more than happy to come back. Or
Thanks.
They don't.
Well, we may do
Mike knows
that.
how to get a hold of me, and so knows how to get a hold of me.
This will be a long process, so we may just do that. Thank you. All right, moving on, the next item, I had asked to be on the agenda for a vice chair. In case I'm not here, we need somebody to step up. So anybody want to volunteer, or,
I would do it if no one wants to, but.
okay?
I
All right, let's
nominated
make a
Mindy
nomination.
last time
Oh,
she
go ahead.
wasn't here.
Oh, that's why you did that when I wasn't here.
You should have done it when you weren't here.
I
You
know,
get punished
exactly.
if you don't show up.
You can do that.
All right. Then we need a motion to nominate Jeff Hockman as vice chair.
I motion to nominate Jeff
Moved.
Hockman.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion on that motion?
You're quick.
Call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, good. That's that. That was all we needed. Very good. Items not on the agenda. Anybody want to bring up something we might want to add to an agenda for another meeting?
Or email it to us.
Or email it, yeah. Okay.
Were we able to get Donnie Steele?
Yes, in
Okay,
August,
good.
she's agreed to be here.
Good.
August 6th.
Thank you.
And I have a call into Canton Township for their township supervisor or somebody from their roads division to come out as well, hopefully in July.
Jeff, not for a meeting
Go
down the road, you sent out some stuff about villages and stuff. At some point, I think it'd be good for us to understand that more in depth, and maybe we get that next week with our next 2 weeks.
Well,
Yeah.
I have that, you're talking about,
Yeah,
did I
what you-
send this to you?
Yeah, no, you sent something out and I printed it out, but
Okay,
I
I thought I
thought
sent
as we get
this.
further down the road, it'd be good.
Okay.
Take some in-depth analysis, understanding all that. So what's flexibility or no flexibility we have on that subject.
Well, maybe when we have the finance,
Yeah.
we can look at that,
So
sure.
I thought that
All
was
right, anybody else have anything on the agenda? Not on the agenda, I'm sorry. All right, public comment, please. And we do have a 3-minute limit, so, go ahead.
3 minutes.
3 minutes, that's the
Again,
standard.
my name is Janet Chappell, and a few weeks ago, I sent out a packet of information, including photos of the detailing our deteriorating HOA roads. I sent it to you, Jeff, and I want to thank you for taking the time to call me.
Oh, that's right, of course, I remember now.
It was a great package.
Yes, I remember, yes.
But yeah, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to call and acknowledging receipt of the materials and assuring me there would be further communication. I've been leading efforts to get our neighborhood roads fixed since 2016. when we headed down the path of an SAD, appropriately sad, and it was soundly rejected due to its over $40,000 cost per household. We live in a neighborhood with a majority of senior citizens. We have lots of widows, widowers. We have original homeowners. Our roads are over 50 years old. They get patched and repatched, and it keeps scattering all over the road. We have potholes. It's affecting the value of our property. When we moved to our Bloomfield Township home, and I always think of this, my brother came over to visit for the first time. The very first thing that he said was, "When are they gonna fix your roads?" Not, "What a lovely neighborhood," which it is, except for the damn roads. And I have to believe that prospective homeowners ask that same question when they drive into our neighborhood. We have a lot of skeptics, if not outright cynics, in our HOA who frankly don't believe that this committee will come up with a solution, that nothing will come out of it. And others say, well, even if they do, we're not going to be on their list for road repairs. And I have to say, I don't share these views. I really don't. I feel some real optimism for the first time since 2016, or maybe since I moved into Bloomfield Township. But I want to thank you, each and every one of you, for undertaking this, I think, really monumental task. I know getting the money, figuring out how to do that is going to be the crux of the matter. And I don't have your knowledge. I've dealt with the OCRC. I went through I led that whole SAD process, which was just pretty nasty, really, and just above and beyond anybody's means. Anyway, I just have 4 questions, if you have a few minutes. One thing I wondered is, does this committee have term limits? Are you appointed, or are you set to go for a year
Appointed.
or 2?
They're appointed indefinitely.
Indefinitely? Okay. And I guess my next question is kind of superfluous at this point, given all the discussion about financing in the state and so forth. And actually, things that I was going to ask were covered in this meeting. So now there's some really nuts and bolts sorts of things. I plan to attend every meeting because I'm the go-to person in my neighborhood for information about the roads. And,
Wrap it, you have to,
Okay.
we're at 3 minutes, so.
all right. Is this going to be available on the website? Is this being videotaped?
Yes, it is.
Okay, the audio is not very good at all. It's very hard
Is
to
that
hear
right?
what people are saying, and even being in the room,
Okay, we'll have to
people
check that
don't
for you.
seem to speak to the mic.
I've noticed that if you don't talk right into this microphone.
Yeah, I couldn't hear much of what anybody said.
Okay.
So to make it of use, if I come here or other people do, or for people, and I do know people want to be able to view it, something needs to be done to make the audio part better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, but just to tell your skeptics
He's right about
that
You gotta talk.
everything starts with a step. And if we don't, if we don't try, we'll never succeed at anything. So we have to try. So,
Right.
don't give up before we even try to do something.
Right.
So, all right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, I think that's it. You have it's 5:30, you have an HOA coming in now?
Yes, I believe
Okay.
so, that's here. So.
Okay,
I
so,
won't be here next meeting. I won't be here in next meeting. I'm going up north golfing.
Instead of coming to
I'm
this
gonna,
meeting?
I'm gonna check out the roads.
check your priorities,
Give us
man.
a report when you get back.
Okay,
I make a motion, we adjourn.
okay, move,
Second.
Well,
We're adjourned.
adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you very much, everybody.